All right, let's go to the next team on this. It's a franchise that I have to say I like what they've been doing, man. I mean, they have a ton of cap space, right? They have $20 million in cap space. I think that's kind of important. I think who's your top players? You got Jeff Skinner getting ridiculously paid at $9 million. I mean, I wouldn't say Jeff Skinner's a $9 million player. You got Kyle Pozo at 6 and Alex Tuck at 4.75. Defense, you have Rasmus Dahlin at 6. You have Iya Lubushkin at 2.75. And I'm not going to even try to pronounce that one. And
Henry, just call him Henry.
Henry at 2.5. You got the notable guy here is Owen Power, that high draft pick young kid. See if he can really do some big things. In net, they have a tandem of Eric Comrie and Craig Anderson. Now, Eric Comrie didn't do bad last season, and we'll go into that. But bringing Anderson back, I think for a rebuilding team, I mean, I think it's smart. You have a guy who's a veteran, maybe can help some guys along, maybe even help Comrie along because it seemed like he found his footing. Let's get into the depth chart like we always do. This is how they have the first line. You have Jeff Skinner, 80 games played, 33 goals, 30 assists, 63 points. So he had kind of a bounce-back season last season. But the main reason for his bounce-back was this guy, Tage Thompson, coming into his own. 78 games played, 38 goals, 30 assists, 68 points. He played phenomenal last year. Mm-hmm. He did. Really good. 6'6" center. He's only 24. This dude's he's big and he's got loads of potential. Then you got Victor Olofsson. 72 games played, 20 goals, 29 assists for 49 points. That's a decent first line.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like Skinner got revitalized this past season. Tage obviously had a big part to do with that. Olofsson's always had potential to be something greater than what he's shown. Maybe last season with chemistry built, maybe they took us up in the right direction, and maybe he does a little bit more this season.
Yep. I mean, I could easily see it because you're right. He's one of these guys that you always thought you'd get more from. I mean, we'll see. You got Jack Quinn, obviously a pretty young player up there. 2 games last season, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. So, hey, he's a point-per-game player in his career. He's a Hall of Famer. You got Casey Middlestat, young boy, 40 games played, 6 goals, 13 assists, 19 points. And then Alex Tuck, 50 games played, 12 goals, 26 assists for 38 points. Like that. I mean, for what they're trying to do, it makes sense though. Like I would rather a team just go into the rebuild, just go head first. Don't do in between stuff. Yeah. I mean, look at the ages. 21, 23, even Alex Tuck, the old man, right, on that line is 26.
And so Alex Tuck has proven it, and he's very solid in his game. And
yeah, he's a solid player.
He's just, in my opinion, he still hasn't even hit his prime. I think he's about to hit that this season coming up, to be honest.
So we'll see how that kind of works out. You have Peyton Krebs, Dylan Cousins, and John Jason. That's an interesting hyphen. I didn't know they do that with the first names. So I'm actually gonna go with the John Jason. That's sick.
They probably call him JJ. I probably.
Yeah, they probably do. 56 games played for Peyton, 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points. Cousins has 13 goals, 25 assists for 38 points and 79 games played. And then you got JJ with 2 games played and no points. I mean, I just embrace the rebuild. Just go for it. I mean, you have Cousins, who you drafted 7th overall in 19. You have JJ, who was drafted 34th overall, which is, a high second-round pick, in the 2020 draft. I like this. I like this movement. I think it's young. And then on the 4th line, you have Rasmus Asplund, 80 games played, 8 goals, 19 assists for 27 points. You have Gergensons for 56 games played, 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points. And then you have Kyle Opozo, 74 games played, 21 goals, 24 assists for 45 points. Now, I don't know if Opozo's really going to be on the 4th line. I don't know. I don't think you put a $6 million player. So I think there's going to be a little bit of adjustment here. I think like some of the kids will go up and down the lineup. You know what I mean? I think Alex, like what I would do is I would put Alex Tuck at the left wing, put Oposo up at right wing, bump Quinn down to the third line. Like, kind of, I know he did decent in small sample size, but like, give him time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think this depth chart makes much sense. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I definitely listen. Oposo may be old, 34, right? But my man can still put points up. He knows how to play the game. He's always been a threat. I mean, I've hated that I liked this game, especially when he was on the Islanders. But he just always finds the net. He knows how to get to the net. He knows how to score. He can snipe. He can be a playmaker. He's kind of like your jack of all trades when it comes to being a forward. He penalty kills. He power plays. He does it all. And it's one of those guys that definitely isn't going to be on the fourth line. I agree with you. I think maybe him and Tuck with Middlestat in the middle as their second line. I would keep that third line together just so that they can build chemistry at this young age. I mean, you see what the Rangers are doing with their kid line. I think that this is their attempt at having a kid line. But even if you drop down Quinn to the fourth line, you're still looking at a pretty good setup because you still have guys that are learning and building and growing, with a center that's kind of been around for a little bit. So I think for this team, there's a lot of bright things going on. Yeah, you got to definitely embrace the rebuild, right? It's one of those things, like you draft players to play players. You don't draft players to just keep them in the minors.
No. And I think like a guy, like I'll slightly disagree here because Quinn's actually like a natural right winger. So I think you actually would just move, I think you'd move JJ down and then just have Quinn on that third line. Because he is he's a higher draft pick. You know how it goes within these organizations. Like, they're going to make the higher guy kind of get those opportunities before they give it to someone else.
Unless they saw something in JJ and the chemistry with the other two, maybe that might be a thing. But yeah, I mean, that'd be interchangeable, where you would put Quinn down and then probably put JJ down to the fourth line. It could be. I mean, this is the point where a franchise is going to mix and match, try to see what they can get from the young guys, get the best out of them. So I expect this lineup to change quite often, quite a bit throughout this season. It's just one of those things. There's a lot to like. There's a future to be seen. There's light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Absolutely.
Whereas before, when they were, with the whole Eichel thing going on, there was no bright light at the end of the tunnel. They brought in people and different forwards and stuff, and it just didn't pan out. It was really dark. Nobody liked being there. Nobody wanted to play there.
No.
But there's a difference now. Like there is light at the end of the tunnel for them, as I stated before, and I think everybody's starting to buy into it. So these forwards, they have a chance to do something, and they have a chance to grow and learn together, which is a very key component to how a lot of these older teams have been brought up. Like, a lot of those guys have been together for a long time, right? And they are good because they have that chemistry that has been built over multiple years. So for Buffalo, they have to start of that, where they start building for the long term. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen with these guys.
Absolutely. I'm going to say they're going to be an average offense, maybe below average, depending on how things shape out. But I don't see below, just because I think they got enough veteran leadership there where these guys will produce at an average rate. What are your thoughts?
Same. I think they're going to be an average. Below average. I can see them falling below average if things don't click. I think they're going to be average. I think with the potential of what the top two lines could look like, they're going to have to do a lot of work and carry, while the other two lines kind of learn, grow, and build. And but yeah, I would say they're going to stay at average. They're going to play, just flat out at average. I hope they don't drop. I hope they stay competitive.
So let's go to the defense here. You have Matthias Samuelsson. Young guy, 42 games played, 0 goals, 10 assists for 10 points, obviously. Rasmus Dahlin, 80 games played, 13 goals, 40 assists for 53 points. Fantastic potential in this guy. Already producing at a high level. Just need him to clean up his own end a bit. You have Owen Power, the high draft pick, first overall of the 2021 draft. Played limited time last season, 8 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. And
But he was a +3.
He was a +3, but he was up and down at times. I think it's going to take him a bit. It's hard, man. Defense is a really hard position. Yokiharu, 60 games played, 3 goals, 16 assists for 19 points. And then you got Jacob Bryson, 73 games played, 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. And then you have Casey Fitzgerald, 36 games played, 0 goals, 6 assists for 6 points. Now, Labushkin's also could be fighting here. I should mention him. 77 games played last season. 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points. I mean, he could be fighting on this third rotation. What I like about this team in Buffalo, man, is they embrace the rebuild. I have to keep saying that because I wish certain teams would do that because, like, look, 22, 22, 19, 23, 24, 25. Now, the problem, there is a counter argument where people are like, well, look at the Oilers. They did that for years and years and were terrible. I'm like, listen, yes. But I think the way the Buffalo Sabres have done it relatively recently has been intelligent. You know what I mean? So you get some talent in there. You got a mixture of some veteran guys, especially in the forward group. You got like a Pozo. You have Jeff Skinner even, Tuck. And then you have like the defense. Yeah, it's pretty green. But like even the 24, 25, like these guys have been around for a little bit. Can kind of help these younger guys along. And I think the potential on this back end is actually dynamic. If Owen Power keeps developing, he'll be great. Yokoharu looked like pretty solid. And then Rasmus Dahlin, man, like if he can get it together in the defensive end, he's going to be a stud. Same, like, man, I mean, this is a hard group to judge. I'm going to say average just because there's so much youth, there's going to be ups and downs all season. Just because they're so young.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say average. They just need to piece things together. If they do piece things if they do piece it together, they could hit over average, right? But listen, they're rebuilding. Don't expect them to be above average. Expect them to be average and expect them to hit below average at times, and that's okay because that's going to build their character.
I agree. Let's get in goaltenders. Yeah, Craig Anderson the old 41-year-old, due to injuries, was limited to 31 games last season, 3.12 goals against, 897 save percentage, 17 wins, 12 losses, so a positive win-loss. Craig Anderson played well at times last season, but, I think he get left out to dry at times. Eric Comrie, who had a very good season, 19 games played, 2.58 goals against, a 920 save percentage, 10 wins in 5 losses. I mean, he played for the Jets last season. Yep, he went back to the Jets, played, was a phenomenal in his backup role. 920 is a great save percentage, 2.58 solid goals against. I look at, obviously, Eric Comrie, man, like he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy in Buffalo. He's going to be their starter this season. You can't depend on a 41-year-old Craig Anderson to carry you like you used to do with the Senators. So, I mean, I think this tandem is good. I think it has the potential to be very like above average tandem if Comrie can keep developing and if Anderson can stay healthy. And like, again, I'll say this. What's the greatest benefit of Buffalo right now? It's their cap. They have $20 million available. And I think more than most teams that have that much available, they're actually going to be pretty competitive and impressive to watch. And there's actual potential with it. Because they went with the youth movement. But I'm glad they didn't go out there trying to sign a guy like Kempfer, like for way overpriced. They just got a nice signing with Eric Comrie at 1.8. You have Anderson at 1.5. And that's an average tandem with the chance of being below average if Anderson can't stay healthy. But I think for a team in a rebuild, it makes sense to just, be wise with how you're spending your money. So when all these young players get up to contracts sooner than later, you have the money to sign them. So I'm going to go with average with a chance to be below average. But what's your thoughts? What's on the tandem?
I think one, they're definitely going to be just average. I don't expect anything crazy from these guys.
Yeah.
But along with the rebuild, I think there's a notable name at the goalie spot. Laukkanen. Laukkanen. He's 23. He played a couple of games. He looked good.
Oh yeah, Luukkonen.
Yeah. I think that if Anderson does fall off the side of the bench and hurts himself, you probably get Laukkanen in there, get him some experience, and then you'll have a probably a solid tandem that's growing, right? Along with the rest of the team that's in front of them, it gives them a chance to grow. I think Anderson's just there for the stability and the mindset of like, hey, he's been around for a very long time. He can give you pointers. He can help you get your mind right and help Comrie. But I definitely see him being more of like an assistant to the coaching staff when it comes to like these younger players and kind of being like that, hey, that big brother that knows more, that knows better. You know what I'm saying? Because he was even around when Ottawa was competitive. So
I mean that was a while ago.
Exactly.
I think with Luukkonen, excuse me, he's probably going to eventually take more of a role. I think they might roster construct it to carry 3 goalies. Maybe have Craig Anderson just sit in the press box at times. But I mean, they have their goalie of the future with Devin Levi, who's currently going to be playing for Northeastern. Decided to go back to college. I'm actually going to buy some tickets this season to go watch him live. He's a fantastic prospect. I think he's got a lot of potential to be in a franchise goaltender. He's only 20 years old, so I think that's why they're so smart with their money in this, right? Luukkonen, he's still young and he has potential to be really good too. But like they have potential to have like Luukkonen and Levi in a few years. Like Buffalo's going to be in a good situation here. Yep. Let's not kid ourselves. They're going to be in a good situation for the future, and that's why I like the Comrie signing, because you don't overpay, you don't lock yourself and commit yourself to a goalie for like 4 or 5 years. You sign him, you kind of let it go, or cheap deal, and you see where everything takes you. So, but I agree with you. Yeah, it's just an average tandem. Mm-hmm. Let's get into where we believe the Sabres are going to finish this season. Sabres went surprisingly well for what we thought they'd be last season. 82 games played, 32 wins, 39 losses, 11 overtime losses, 75 points. I think, their goals for, they were kind of middle of the pack, which is, that's good for them. They're going to have to improve that goals against. It was one of the worst in the division. Fajardo, where do you see them finishing?
Honestly, I see them having similar success from last season to this season. I feel like they're gonna retain probably the same amount of points, around the same amount of wins, so on and so forth. But due to the fact that there are teams around them that are getting better, I see them dropping down to maybe 6. Dropping down to 6. Maybe fighting for that 5th spot, but dropping down to 6. No playoff contention in mind at all. Just satisfied with building what they do have, the foundation of what they would consider their future. I see them 5th, 6th. Staying at 5th or 6th, around there.
I mean, I think for me, I think they're going to be 6th or 7th just because other teams around them made vast improvements. So, I mean, like a team like Ottawa comes to mind, and we'll get to them when we get to them. But that's not a bad thing, Sabres fans, because quite frankly, I like where you're going. You have a ton of cap space. You're letting the youth play. You're making smart contracts now. You're not just overpaying some bum in free agency. You're doing the smart thing. So I think the future is extremely bright for the Buffalo Sabres. They just need to stay the course.
Yeah, 6 or 7. You're right. I forgot about some of the other acquisitions I have seen that we're gonna review with some of the other teams. 6 or 7. It would have to be the way.